I'm very happy to be able to come back to Bucharest for the third time now, having performed as conductor at the Enescu Festival, and also last year conducting the final round of the violin competition, which was during the pandemic, as some people might remember. It was postponed, and thanks to the idea of Mihai Constantinescu to actually did the first round by video, and encouraging each of the jury members to spend more time screening the participant and having made up their mind, bringing the participants that they felt deserving to be invited for the semifinal to come to Bucharest in person. And this is very important because we're talking about a pandemic which no one ever imagined. And in such cases where there were challenges in life, there are always desire in human being to overcome this. And of course, this is what we call hope. And hope is actually related to going back centuries ago to George Enescu himself. The importance of George Enescu, he was primarily known as one of the greatest violinists of his days. People may not know that he was also a really great composer, a great teacher, quite a wonderful pianist, and also conductor. So, and he lived in such an important period of time in history where he experienced all the most difficult things in life. He did experience the First World War, and soon after that, there was the pandemic around 1918, which lasted a few years, and really probably 25 million people in the world at that time died because of that. And then soon after, in the beginning of 1930s, the economic market crashed, and people went to poverty, and then the rise of the Nazism, and then led to the Second World War. You can imagine how the struggle, and each time the struggle happened, which of course affected his own life, there was victory behind it. In the form of his playing, his performances, his teaching, and his compositions. And I think for the young generation, the image of George Enescu, and also as a national hero, it is a real role model. You know, I look back at myself. I was also a violinist, and I was asked to conduct the Enescu Octet in a version of string orchestra in 2019. And it is such a wonderful thing to discover great masterpieces, knowing that he was such a genius. He wrote the Octet for strings when he was barely in his 20s. And the competition, you know, the word competition, I actually don't like to use the word competition, just mainly because music is not sport. But at the same time, competition is important in order to create sense of, you know, a personal development. Because as a young musicians, we are challenged. We are challenged every day in our life. And music profession is such a difficult profession that unless we actually look for the very best in ourselves and try to grow from it. And when competition, in a sense that did not quite work for some people, or some people felt I played really well, but I wasn't chosen to the next round, that was actually not a failure at all. It would be actually something that would stimulate to go even further. And at the end of the day, what does it mean winning a competition? In my opinion, is that if you win a competition, it's just only the beginning of your career that helps you open door a little bit. But most important is that how one sees the progress 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from winning the competitions. And not to forget that some of the very, very greatest musicians, including violinists, you know, look back at David Oistrakh. Oistrakh did not win first prize of the Queen Elizabeth. I think he won the second prize. And yet, with the second prize, he became one of the greatest of the greatest of the greatest. So actually, first, second, third prize or no prizes, we have to always look for what is behind it.